Welcome, everyone. My name is Peter Shribman, and I'm the chairman of the Swampscott Hall of Fame. Every time we go through this process, and this is my 6th time, it amazes me the amount of great athletes that we have here in Swampscott for such a great town. I understand that being inducted into a local Hall of Fame can seem a bit outdated, but one of the great things about living in a town like Swampscott is the support we give our community, and supporting Swampscott High athletics has always been a huge part of our town's success. For those inducted, it's nice to have your accomplishments recognized. When we met for the first time this past fall, it was somewhat bittersweet. It was strange to be there without Dick Lynch. We were, however, lucky enough to have his daughter Tara take his place on the committee. And to complete that Lynch trioca, I asked Tara to ask Mike to MC the event, as Dick had for so many years. And Mike was gracious enough to do so, and we're very, very thankful. So thank you, Mike. Also, Dick's wife Joanne is here, his daughter Mara, his son Terry, and his grandson David. Thank you. I had it written down. And they all do look alike. So thank you all for coming. When you all checked in, there was a sign-up sheet. It's being videoed by the Swampscott High Video Club. And if you wish to purchase a video, there is a sheet out front where you can sign up, and you'll get the video of the evening. So I'd like to thank all the committee members for all their help, but especially a shout out to Jack Tamor. Jack truly does more than anyone in this room. He literally spends hour after hour preparing this banquet for all of us. And as always, it went really smoothly for all of us, except for Jack. So that said, here is Jack, and I hope everyone has a great time this evening. Congratulations to the inductees.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Induction Night 2019. As I looked around the room, I saw the look of disappointment on many faces as Peter handed me the mic. Please do not be disappointed. This year's Master of Ceremonies, Mike Lynch, will be up here shortly. On a more serious note, I would like to recognize some friends that are no longer with us. If we could please have a moment of silence for the following 8 members of our Hall of Fame that have passed since our last induction night. Joseph Jojo Cadillo, class of 1944. C. William Bull Carlin, class of 1958. William Freiburg, class of 1942, being inducted tonight. Thomas Gorman, class of 1954. Jeff Hegan, class of 1973. William Bill Hinch, class of 1963. Richard Dick Lynch, coach, teacher, administrator, 1954 to 1973. Kenneth Tondro, class of 1954. Thank you. Tonight in the audience, we have 23 current members of our Hall of Fame. This is the most members to ever attend an induction night. Please stand and remain standing as I introduce each of you. The audience is requested to hold your applause until all 23 have been introduced, or we will be here all night. Bill Adams. Chris Valero. Peter Beatrice. Dr. Kristen O'Neill Callahan. Frank DeFelice. Stephen Dembowski. Brian Hayes. Susan Heffernan. Richard Giron. Tara Lynch Kalinowski. Caitlin Leonard. Mike Lynch. Mike Maselvis. Mike Massey. W.F. Newhall III. He left. Kevin Rogers. Andy Rose. Dan Santinello. Winslow Shaw. Mark Stevenson. Sandy Tennant. Peter Woodfork. I don't think Peter made it. Barbara Yozell. Thank you all. Oh, I didn't even know he was here. I'm sorry I had overlooked Bill Madden. Hey, Billy, stand up, please. Billy, stand up. He was a late entry. At this time, I'd like to bring up the Master of Ceremonies, Mike Lynch.
Jack and Peter asked me to be the Master of Ceremonies. I said, why do you want me? I'm not very funny. I don't tell a lot of jokes. And I've got to run through the program because I have to be back for the 11 o'clock news. And they said, perfect, you're exactly what we're looking for. So here we are. He also gave me a copy of the script that my dad used when he was the Master of Ceremonies 3 years ago. And I said, what the heck, if it worked for him, it's going to work for me. So this is plagiarism at its best right here. I am just reading verbatim what my dad wrote, and I'm just going to insert different names and different numbers. So here we go. Welcome to the 12th Annual Athletic Swampscott High School Hall of Fame. Tonight we have the most outstanding group of inductees. So we said this 3 years ago, so now you are the most outstanding group of inductees that will ever deck the halls of Swampscott High School. And like we did 3 years ago when we honored the 72 Super Bowl championship team, we're honoring the 93 state championship baseball team. You're all about to join a select group and join an elite collection of outstanding student athletes, coaches, and contributors to the Swampscott High School athletic program, all of whom are listed inside your program. Many of these Hall of Famers went on to achieve great success in their careers afterwards, but the most important thing and the common thread we all have is the pride and the love we have for our great town of Swampscott, whereas none of us can imagine growing up in any other town. Great parents, great teachers, great coaches, great teammates, and great friends. And that has not changed since Swampscott High School first opened its doors. A couple of thank yous to the people that make this up. There's 12 people on the committee that meet numerous times to sort through the nominees and come up with the 10 inductees we have tonight. Thanks to Paul Halloran for his excellent job of putting the program together again. Eddie Borash and Dan Lasano of Sir Speedy for printing the booklet. Brian Murphy of Crown Trophy. And there's also a list of benefactors that are on the back of the program. And special thanks to Jack Taymor, who I don't know how he does it. He does not have an off button, but Jack is relentless in keeping this thing and perpetuating it and making it even bigger and better every single year. Jack, thank you very much. I was asked to recognize the first page in the inside of your program. There's a picture of your coach, our dad, Dick Lynch. Jack wanted me to read it, but it's kind of lengthy and everybody wants to eat and we want to get on with the program. But This pretty much sums up who he was as a coach and as a person. And as you all know, he never measured the success by the size of anyone's bank account or wallet. He just measured the success by how the girls and boys did in their particular field, and the thank yous that he got years later after they graduated was good enough for him and made him beam with pride. And the only one other thing I'd like to do is that it's tough being a coach's wife, and it's even been tougher for the last year for my mom. And I want to thank all the people who have sent cards, letters, emails, phone calls, stopped by the house, saw her down at Stop and Shop at the town hall. Mom, stand up, and so everybody can just stand up, Mom. Come on. Stand up, Mom. Come on. The coach's wife. The only thing my dad liked better than Swampscott High Athletics was someone who gave a short speech, so I am done right now. We're going to have 2 inductees during salad right now, and the first one's going to be right out of Jackson Park's own Dean Anderson. Dina was a great 3-sport athlete, linebacker and guard in the football team, 2-time captain of the hockey team, great golfer, went on to play, got a scholarship, went on to play at Northeastern University, and he's timing it out perfectly because I've run out of things to say about Dean Anderson, except I was proud to be his water boy when he played for the Swampscott High School in 62, 63, and 64, and graduated in 65. Dean Anderson, everybody.
Thank you. I don't know, but I think I might be one of the oldest. Put it on. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Hold it up like this. There you go.
Probably better off the other way. I probably might be one of the oldest ever to get into the Hall of Fame, so I was a little nervous today. You know, it's a little nervous. I haven't spoken in front of this many people in my life. And so I started my day, worked a couple hours. I went to the gym, and I go to the gym, and I'm done. I can't find my keys. I just can't find my keys. So I ask everybody. I go up to my truck. They're in it. Problem is, the truck was still running. So that's how. So now, in my speech, if I forget names, if I forget things, that's the way things go for me. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Dan Santinello. He was one that sponsored me, and I really appreciate that very much. And Jack and Peter, they did a lot of work. You know, it's tough. You can't go up and ask people to go to your Hall of Fame. Like, it's kind of, hey, you want to go? You can't do it. So that's why I have friends like Chuck Angelopoulos, who, he really helped me out. I have 3 tables here. And actually at my tables, not only all my friends, but I have, 5 Hall of Famers here. Mike Masalbas, Danny, Mike Massey, Frank Haskell. Okay, I'm forgetting someone already. Yeah, and Dave Buckland, who you didn't mention. Dave Buckland was basketball back in the day, and then we got Peter Massey, Peter, Jeff, and Rick, who someday maybe will be Hall of Famers at Swampscott High. So I just want to, thank you. I mean, I don't have a lot to say. I played football. I was dog shit. I played golf. I couldn't hit the ball. I was a hell of a catcher. I couldn't hit. So I asked Mr. Lynch one day, you mind if I quit baseball? This is my freshman year. You mind if I stop playing baseball and go get on the golf team? And I thought he was going to, I was afraid of the guy, as everybody was. And he says, Dean, if I could be the golf coach, I'd go with you. So that was it. So I played golf instead of baseball. And I loved hockey. I started when I was probably 5 or 6 years old with all my friends on the ponds. And the best part about it is I got to spend every day with my father, Ty, he's a Hall of Fame here too, and he's a Hall of Fame in a lot of things. And I just got to spend every day of the winter with him and all my friends. So that, and when we're 15 years old, you get all your friends you hang around with your whole life. So now there was a team called the Marblehead Maroons. It was an all-star team, so that when we were 15 years old, we got together. So now we meet the kids from Peabody, Lynn, Saugus, all over the North Shore. You never met kids from, unless if it wasn't for hockey, you would have never met these kids. We all played together on that team. We won the national midget championship, and that's how. And I still see these guys every, all the time. And the same. Then you go on to high school. You got your friends, but you play against all your friends. You just every year. And then you go on I went to prep school. There's 16 more friends. You go to Northeastern. There's another 16 friends. And then you have the people. Your coaches, your trainers, it's just the people you meet and the way it, without hockey it wouldn't have happened, and I'm just so glad I had a chance to do it. And I had something else I was going to come up with, but hold on. See, here we go. Did I thank Chucky? Yeah, I did. Oh, the end was a cockatoo. Wait a minute. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay. What the hell was it? Oh, so now every year I go down to Florida to play golf with Dick Massey, who's another Hall of Famer. I play with Frank Haskell, who's a Hall of Famer, and I play with Mike Massey, the Hall of Famer. And every year I sit there and bitch, I'm not a Hall of Famer. Now I am, and I can get down every year from now on and play golf with those guys for years to come. Thank you very much.
The great Dean Anderson, everybody. The second is the better looking of the Navasky brothers, David Navasky. Right? You're not going to argue, right? Huh? There we go. 20. That was like 20 years ago. It was $20 to get me to say something. David was a football player at Swampscott High School, a captain. Went on to play at UNH for a Yankee Conference team. We'd love to have the Yankee Conference back. Those were the good old days. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here is the newest inductee to the Swampscott Hall of Fame, Dave Navasky.
Okay, they told me I have 5 minutes, but after 30 years, sit back and enjoy the ride. We were a little late this evening. My father was circling the parking lot looking for the Hall of Fame parking. Just kidding. I'm going to try to keep my emotions in check. I was a fiery guy. I think anyone who played with me or knew me knew that. So I'd like to start by thanking you for this incredible honor. And tonight, I'm thrilled to share my personal journey with you. I promise to be succinct, and as I mentioned, I'll contain my feelings. So it started as a young kid. In the first grade, I was diagnosed with a disruptive tumor in my ear. And while the condition wasn't deadly, it required multiple surgeries. And somebody digging in your ear was so painful. And, at the end, it resulted in a hearing loss, but also, candidly, maybe a ding on my confidence as a young man. And sure, I played town soccer, Little League, but I always felt there was a greater sport out there for me, something that I was missing. And my football journey began a few years later. My best friend, Matt Ledger, implored me to go out for Papuana. And at the time, it was called Light Blue. And I still remember my first practice. And later, we got helmets and shoulder pads. And some kids got what was called a water helmet. But I told the coaches, I'd take what was ever left. And it seemed that everyone's dad was a coach. This kid's dad. This coach's kid was the quarterback, and the other coach's kid was the running back, and so on. And I told Coach Serino and Coach Hayes, who's here tonight. Where's Coach Hayes? My first coach. I didn't even know that he had a son until I was in high school. It's a fact. And I played with his son. I told those coaches I would play wherever they needed me. And while my dad wasn't entirely satisfied, he told me to do my best. And he said I was Dembowski and that we were a football family. And I'm not sure what our record was over that time, but I do remember we didn't win much, Coach. Maybe a game. But it didn't matter. I didn't care about the score or the record. I was part of a team. And it was apparent to me, even then, the Swampscott football history. And I knew it was bigger than me. And nobody had a better time than me. And nobody enjoyed the experience more. And at the end of the season, at the Knights of Columbus, I was recognized and awarded a trophy. I won the Coach's Award. It was my first football recognition. And tonight, some 40 years later, I accept another. I'd like to thank the Swampscott High School Hall of Fame committee. Thank you. My coaches, sponsors, fans, and of course teammates for this distinction. Swampscott has a ton of high-profile athletes, and what a great honor for me and my family. Thank you. When Barbara called me this winter with the news, I was floored. I've known Barbara since I was in the 2nd grade. And her son Peter is a longtime friend and teammate. And I told her, nobody had a better time than me, and nobody enjoyed the experience more. She was awesome, so proud. It's great. Football was my passion, but it was never easy. And in the 8th grade, I was told I was too big and too old for the light blue. And I was assured I'd be granted a waiver to play in the 8th freshman football. But the waiver never came, and I was left without football. I was allowed to practice with the team, but no games. I told the coach I would practice wherever they needed me. And my dad told me, do your best. You're a Dembowski, and we're a football family. There were no awards that year, but it didn't matter. And I promised myself I'd never miss another season, ever. In my sophomore year, I started both ways, and I played tight end and linebacker next to my big brother, Steve. And I scored the first touchdown of the Bill Bush era. Where are you, Coach? And trust me, nobody had a better time than me. And nobody enjoyed that experience more. And in the second game of the season, we played the Beverly Panthers. And during the course of the game, I broke my hand. It was a severe and troublesome injury. I didn't tell anybody. And I finished the game. I had fractured the distal carpal joint in my ring finger, and it wouldn't stay in the joint. And with every dislocation, it would pop. Pop, pop, pop. And after the game, when the adrenaline had passed, I knew something was wrong. And I went to the emergency room, and the doctors told me that I likely needed surgery and pins, and that my season was done. Never again, I thought. And that night, in my parents' basement, I bent 2 skate keys with pliers to mirror my hand, and I taped them as tight as I could to hold my finger in place. 3 weeks later, I returned to the hand surgeon and was informed I would not require surgery. It was a miracle. And I finished playing the year wherever the coaches wanted me. The tradition of Big Blue football was ingrained in me. Blockstitch Field, Coach Bondalevich, Learon, Leone, Blaze, and if you ask Peter Beatrice, Peter Beatrice. Love you, Peter. Thanksgiving Day, the Super Bowl, the evil headers, and the legends and records of teams gone past. But I had my own legend to form. And I remember the Danvers game my junior year on Friday night under the lights when we couldn't seem to set the tone. It was until their tailback scurried out in a short reception and I hit him with all my might. And the ball popped out like a rocket. And we recovered it. And I set the tone. And it was something. Then there's the Gloucester game. I mean, these guys were tough. They were literally fishermen. And sure, everybody remembers the 99-yard run. But what about the goal line stand that set it up? You're welcome, Steve. It's my pleasure. And playing against Lynn Classical in the rain, it was pouring. And those kids from Lynn, well, they felt the kids from Swampscott. Now, how about the Bloxage bomb? Even the ever-equitable Mike Lynch covered it. Where's Mike? With less than a minute to play, with no timeouts, Lynn English had the ball in 1st and 10. Now, for context, after 7 a.m. Mass at St. John's with Monsignor, the team returned to my parents' house for some ping pong. We killed some time, stay out of trouble kind of thing. And I was rushing out the door when the phone rang, and it was my bupsha, my grandmother. She called. She said she wouldn't be going to the game. Her heart was failing. She never missed a game, but today she wasn't feeling up to it, and she wished me good luck. She was proud of me and my teammates, and she listed them by name. She insisted I do my best. She told me I was a Dembowski, and we were a football family. Understanding we were facing a powerhouse with Super Bowl aspirations, she implored me, "Don't do anything stupid," she said. Sorry, Bubsha. I had something to prove. And with seconds left, I went over the top on an ill-timed blitz, in spite of all fear and personal welfare, and I set the tone. And apparently it scared the bleep out of the opposing quarterback. Because 2 plays later, after his 3rd fumble, Peter Sack declared, "Football recovered by Swampscott." The rest is history. Carl Norden to Justin Howard with 3 seconds left. Awesome. The Bloxage bomb was in the books. Playing with my big brother was my greatest thrill. At least he understood me. And while I didn't get the glory, I got his admiration. I swear I would have knocked him out of the way if he tried to make a tackle in front of me. I also got to play with Matt Ledger, who's still my best friend today. I always felt we could win, and I never got the headlines. But nobody had a better time than me, and nobody enjoyed the experience more. We won lots of games. We did it as a team. I want to thank all my coaches. These guys gave up a lot to inspire me and support me, and they believed in me. Special thanks to Coach Butch, Coach Sprague, Coach Fravel, Coach Davis, Coach Skomersky, Coach Stevens, Coach Caesar, Coach Rossetti, and I love you, John Hoffman. These men made me a man. They made me tough, and I would have run through a wall for them, and I'm certain they would have done the same for me. I love you guys. Thank you. And I want to thank my super fans too. Thank you, Nana, Judja, Pam Ledger, Frank Cassidy, Roger Baldacci, Greg Lazarus. You were my biggest fans, and I could always hear your cheers. It meant so much to me. Thanks to my mom and dad, go blue, my father would proclaim. And thanks to all my friends and family here tonight. Thank you for this recognition and the experience. Trust me, nobody had a better time than me, and nobody enjoyed it more. I'd also like to recognize my wife, Vanessa, and 3 amazing kids, Max, Samantha, and Alexa. May you find your passion and the support to excel in whatever matters to you. And remember, you're a Dembowski, and we're an anything family. Finally, I dedicate tonight to my uncles Walter and Louis. From Cape Ann to Cape Cod, we are Big Blue. I believe that. Thank you.
Well, we could.
Yeah, why don't we?
I'm getting,
I got soup coming.
okay, soup hasn't been served yet, so we could do another inductee, or do we wait for soup? How many want another inductee right now? How many want soup first? All right, we're going with another inductee. How's that? All right. Majority rules. Our next inductee has a lot of his former teammates in here. Jack Hughes. We always knew him as Lester. I don't know what the heck the nickname Lester came from, but we've been calling him Lester for over 50, maybe 60 years right now. Jack Hughes was part of an integral part of a basketball team in 1968 that won the Class B state championship at the Boston Garden. He won a state championship when he coached the girls basketball team in 2009. He started, along with Artie O'Neill, the girls CYO basketball program. As we know, that's such a feeder for the high school varsity program. And right now, we're going to bring Lester up here. You don't have to explain what Lester came from, Jack, but Jack Hughes, the newest inductee to the Swampscott High School Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here tonight. Unfortunately, I am having some problems with my eyes. So my son, John, has agreed to read the toast that I put together. He knows exactly what I want. He's read it, and I know he'll do a good job. But my eyes aren't doing too good. But anyway. Thanks, John.
All right, so just bear with me and suspend your disbelief for a couple minutes while I channel my inner 67-year-old. All right, I am truly honored to be here tonight, and to get inducted on the same night as one of my former players, Ann Valero, makes this extra special. I have loved the sport of basketball since I was a little kid, playing in Swampscott CYO, run by Arthur McManus, Jim Hughes, and Dick Lynch, who helped me develop a passion for the game. I was never the best player in the world, but I loved everything about the sport. I remember after college, I started reffing, and during the games, I'd find myself watching the coaches and what they were doing, how they were prepping, how they were coaching, more than I'd be watching the actual game. I guess you weren't a very good ref. And that's when I realized I wanted to coach. I wanted to help kids get better at the sport I loved. So I reached out to Fran York, and he helped me get my first assistant coaching job for the Swampscott boys JV team. Well, then Fran left, and I was out of a job. But there was one coaching job opening, and it was for the girls varsity team. To be honest, I had never even really seen a girls basketball game. I wasn't even sure if the rules were the same. It turns out they were. So I took the job in 1980, and I developed a new love for the game. I coached the varsity team for the next 8 years, and during that time, Arthur O'Neill, Jim Hughes, Peter Dalton, and I helped develop a girls CYO program, which was crucial in developing girls basketball in the town of Swampscott. And eventually, I stopped coaching to spend more time with my family, and I didn't think I'd ever coach again. But then, in 2001, around Thanksgiving, I got a call from Fran and Arthur asking to meet with them. They let me know that Julie Learon, the current coach of the girls varsity team, wasn't able to coach. They asked, Jack, do you think you could do it for 1 year? And I thought, you gotta be friggin' kidding me. I don't wanna coach again. But I also remembered thinking that you cannot say no to Fran and Arthur. They have done so much for you. So I didn't. I took the job. And I'll admit, I was really nervous before that first practice. It had been so long. I remember driving from Beverly, where I taught at the time, over to practice and just swearing to myself in the car, what the hell am I doing? I don't know these girls. I don't know how to coach anymore. But after that first practice, I went home, and I'll never forget this. My wife, Nancy, asked, Jack, how did it go? And I said, you know, I think I'm really going to like this. But I didn't just like it, I loved it. I forgot how much I loved the X's and O's of the game, the preparation, the studying. I also forgot how much I love the people, and I have had the honor of working with some truly great people. My assistant coaches, Joe Fields, Doc Bolia, Mark Shapiro, Tom Healy, Reggie Brown, Nina Rogers, to name a few. But Arthur and Fran are the ones who stand out most. They helped me and the girls over the years in so many ways. The three of us would go out after every game for some pizza and only one beer, only one, and then go home. The real version of that story is they'd have endless beers and wake up at 11:30 the next day. But at the end of the day, it's all about the girls, and I have had some great teams over the years, but three really stand out. My first team in the 80s, led by Ann Valero and Kristen O'Neill. I had these girls for 4 years, and they were the first team to win the Northeastern Conference and the first team to finally beat Salem High School. They showed me what coaching was all about. My 2006 team, a great team led by Megan O'Malley, McKinley Tennant, and Tara Driscoll. They lost the semifinals by 2 points in double overtime, the toughest loss ever. But they handled it well, and the freshmen on that team, they showed them how to handle a loss, and that team went on to be state champs. And that's my 2009 team, the best team I ever coached, led by Ali Bolio, Tara Nimka, and Marissa Gambali. Before every game, I would always give a pep talk, and I remember before the state championship game, nobody was talking. I thought, oh God, maybe this moment is too big for them. But Ali brought me aside and she said, Coach, we don't need a pep talk today. And they didn't. They were up by 30 points in the first quarter. It was the best basketball I had ever seen played. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Nancy. She helped balance everything over the years. And if you know Nancy, you know she is not the biggest sports fan, but she loved these teams. You could hear her in the stands clapping and yelling, woo, 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 not really knowing what she was cheering for. And she would also host our team dinners and cook for everyone. Nancy, you were always there for me, and I hope you know how much that means. I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you. I love you. He loves you. Again, I am truly honored to be inducted into the Swampscott Hall of Fame. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. And go blue.
We get members of the 1993 baseball team to come up here. 24-1, the only team to win a state championship outside of the 1949 team, coached by our friend and our coach and our longtime mentor, Coach Frank DeFelice. Thank you, Coach.
I want to see this right now. I'd be very. Everybody all settle down here.
Car wash. Some of you guys come over the other side. Flank coach from one side, half on the other. You guys can't figure this out for yourself? No. Coach, you'll hand out the flags?
All right.
Come on, guys, step in.
I'd be remiss if I did not mention Dick Lynch, the beautiful thing that was written about him, and a lot of people were coached by him. I had the privilege of coaching with him and in the same room for many, many years, and I'm still trying to live up to the expectations that he set for me. So I think it's a wonderful testimony of Dick, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. Briefly about this team. This team was we were 24-1. We had all it takes to win. We had 3 senior pitchers that did not lose a game. The one game we lost, the JV coaches, JV pitchers pitched that game only because they were excellent players in the JV team, and we made 5 errors in that game, and people blame the JV pitchers for losing the game. We lost the game ourselves. It was a bad game ourselves. And those 2 JV pitchers are being inducted in the Swampscott Hall of Fame tonight. Todd, McShea, and Brendon, Nolan. The accomplishment was terrific. About 90% of them played summer ball. Pitt Legion, a very strict Legion team that went on and won 2 state titles. They were the nucleus of that team. In those days, the Nahant kids did not come to Swampscott at the time, so we were the smallest team in the conference, and there was only 2 Division III teams in this conference. 12 of our 20 opponents were Division I teams, and we were very successful when we got to the tournament because we had all played Division III teams. Most of our players went on to college and played a sport in college, whether it be soccer, baseball, or hockey. They all participated, but 90% of them. So this was a special group of kids, an outstanding accomplishment. And my role was to run 3 miles a day because I recognized how good they were early on, and I know my temperament, so 3 miles a day would kind of calm me down a little bit and just let them play. And like I said, I really wanted to let you know that the JV pitchers that were really outstanding went on, did not lose the game. We had one bad game. That was it right there.
Coach, if I remember correctly, we knocked that pitcher out in the first inning, and the guy who came in threw a no-hitter against
Yeah, hazy.
Right.
All right, we're going to recognize them right now. Coach, how do you want to do this?
I can hand them to you and you can hand it out.
That means I have to put my glasses on. All
Todd,
right.
yours is broken.
Brendon Nolan. Brendon Nolan is going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame very shortly.
Right behind you.
Congratulations. Mike Dudevois, you've done very well. Boy, this is tough. Brian Hayes.
Let's go.
Kevin Rogers.
Thank you, Coach.
Mike DeSimone is not here tonight. Mike is coaching his Little League son, and opening day is today. He's in Virginia and could not make it up tonight. Mike DeSimone. One of our senior pitchers that did not lose the game his senior year. Todd Klein. Todd.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Todd McShea, who will be inducted in the Swampscott Hall of Fame soon. Congratulations. You took the hate off.
Thank you.
Unfairly blamed. Come here. Jim Scranton. Jimmy.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. Traeger DePietro, a very successful artist in Cape Cod. Thanks,
Coach.
Traeger.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Peter Woodflock.
Thank you, George.
Good luck. The next guy, everybody has their favorites as you go along. You don't know who had the batting averages, who did this and who did that. But John Doherty is the next guy, and I want to say a few words about John. John had to sacrifice a position that he played all his life for the team, and he might have had his own feelings about it, but never came down the field and never showed it. So if I look back on this team, one of my favorite guys that I had on the team was John Doherty. A very unselfish person. Lindsey Parker had a great career with us, and he was our fourth pitcher when we decided to pitch the JV players that day. Lindsey Parker, the next year, won 7 games for us, and went on and kept on pitching. He had a heck of a career for us, Lindsey Parker. David Portnoy is not here tonight, and a lot of our players here have become national figures. David Portnoy has become an international figure. Not here tonight.
This is yours, Coach.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the evening. Well done.
Good job. Good job. Just to be clear, were you a JV pitcher? I'm not really clear about that. Great JV. You know, I was
Hey, Todd. You still got the ball?
we both
Todd, you still have the ball?
They won.
I say nothing.
Frank, it's a good thing you don't have any memory for detail. So, 3 miles a day, calm down your temperament, Coach. Is that right? 3 miles a day, calm down? Information we could have used back in what, 68, 69, 70, right? Why couldn't you have done that when we were playing?
Would have been a marathon.
All right, congratulations. Our next inductee is Ann Valero, who lettered in 11 sports: basketball, soccer, track. But you know what? I've been sitting next to her table, and she has managed a table of the most well-behaved children and family members. And if she never lettered in a sport, she's going into the Hall of Fame for managing table number 11 tonight. Ann Valero.
And table 12, by the way.
And table 12,
Yeah,
sure.
they're more wild than table 11. Hi, my name is Ann, or Annie, or I don't know, I've been called a lot worse, but I'm so happy to be here and of course very grateful. And I know we're here for sports, and technically I'm the one up here, so I hope nobody minds. I don't actually want to talk about me, and I don't actually want to talk about sports. So I do think that the reason really why we're all here is because of this incredible community that we are all so incredibly fortunate to grow up in. And I know one of the things that, well, first of all, when I walked in, the class of '89, who was a lot of people in this room, but especially all my girls came tonight, so thank you so much. Our friend Robin couldn't be here. Her dad, Mr. Holtzman, just passed away, so Robin wasn't able to be here, but she's with us in spirit. And it kind of leads me to the next thing that I really think is quite spectacular. You know, I don't know a lot of you in this room, and I'm so sorry. You may have known my dad. He maybe was your pharmacist. His name was Joe Valero, and we called him Stretch. And Arthur and my dad actually grew up together in Eastie, and Arthur's actually my confirmation godfather. So it's a real blessing to be here with Arthur and Dolly and all the O'Neills. And I think you might know too, I mean, I'm not here because of my sports prowess, if you will. I am not a good basketball player, really, like my brother, who is quite spectacular. And Arthur likes to talk about my rebound average, but just being very honest, most of them were my own missed shots. So I think if we were doing like the actual stats, I would definitely not be here right now. So thank you for that little padding of everything. But really what I think it came down to was this environment that, you know, between Arthur and my dad and all of the dads, I just really want to take a minute to talk about, and this is not to dismiss my mom, who's amazing, and Mr. Woodfork actually told me that after my dad passed, my mom would go sit right in my dad's basketball, you know, seat where he would sit all the time. But we were very fortunate to grow up in this incredible environment of very supportive, incredible men. And I know that might sound a little strange to say, but I really would like to ask everyone in this room, men, women, it's all of our job to help. It's all of our job to support each other. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. Who cares? It doesn't matter how much money any of us have or what we look like, who we are, what our lifestyle choices are. We are all here in this room together as one unified Swampscott community, and I would just ask every single one of you, if you're not quite sure how to act or behave, watch Arthur. Really, I would love to just say thank you, Arthur. I've never met anyone like him, really, aside from my dad, and it's just something that I really do hope we all take with us. We are all very, very blessed that we are in this incredible community. I hope that any of us, wherever we've ended up in life, take that spirit. Those of us that are here today, I would like to ask you to please help with my amazing nieces and nephews. Please help create this same environment that I was blessed to grow up in for my family. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. And just one other thing that I'm going to ask Arthur to help us with. When Dad passed, his nickname was Stretch, and we started a scholarship called the Stretch Award. So this year we are doing a scholarship, and we'd like to ask Arthur to help us select the winner this year. It's going to be for $1,989 in tribute to all of those crazy folks over there. And it's going to be awarded with Arthur's input to a female basketball player who's currently playing with Swampscott and going to higher education. So really with that, is everyone with me? Will everyone please take that spirit? Will everyone please continue to make Swampscott this amazing, vibrant, supportive, beautiful community? Is everybody in? Okay, cool. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. What a job. All right, our next inductee was just up here, and I believe he escaped the wrath of being a JV pitcher. I'm pretty sure Brendon Nolan escaped the wrath. Brendon, as you know, was a sensational pitcher at Swampscott, Philip Sandover, Boston College, wide receiver, defensive back on the baseball team. And he's coming back up here to be inducted into the Swampscott Hall of Fame. He was up here with his teammates a couple of minutes ago. And so let's have a big round of applause. Brendon, come on back up. Go on, Brendon.
Bet you guys didn't know they inducted JV pitchers into the Hall of Fame. Thank you. This is wow. This is cool. This is cool. Thanks to the committee. Thanks to Peter Stribman putting this on. This is a really cool event. Thanks for having multiple bars. That's cool too. Looking at this turnout is a testament to the work Peter and the committee put in. So really, really appreciate it. This is great. A little background on me. My brother and I and my mother moved to Swampscott when I was 8 years old from California to be closer to our family, and I was not happy about it. Not the family part. I dig my family. I just don't dig snow and cold. Anyway, who wants to leave Southern California? So I didn't have much say in the decision. My brother didn't have much say in the decision, but it couldn't have been a better decision. I found myself immediately immersed in this, I think what we've seen tonight, an unbelievable Swampscott community. Sailing lessons at Fisherman's Beach, CYO basketball, Little League baseball, brief stint playing Pop Warner football, and then being sidelined by a broken arm, thanks to, shout out Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports. Sports have always been a huge part of my life and will continue to be a huge part because they're such a big part of this town, as we can see tonight. I mean, look at this turnout. What really stuck with me growing up and seeing Dave Navasky up here talking was watching the varsity football team, baseball team, basketball team growing up. Those are the guys you looked up to. I was there on that Saturday afternoon at the Blox's Bomb. I was in the opposite end zone with a cast on my wrist, courtesy Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports. I remember, the Dombrowskis, the Girons, the January brothers. I mean, the names just are, they really ring true to me. They're guys that I looked up to, and I couldn't wait to, put on a varsity uniform. Paul Moran, the guy scores 2,000 points with no three-point line. That's bananas. But anyway, I couldn't wait to put on a big blue uniform. Football, basketball, baseball, track and field for a little hot minute. My group of friends who are here tonight, and they're family to me. Like that, I really think that's why we had a lot of success when we got to high school, is because we just played everything, everything. So, you know, there's not enough time right now to thank everybody that helped me on this journey, but I do want to pick out a few people that were super instrumental to me. First and foremost, I'm not standing here if it's not for Coach Frank DeFelice. Literally, he nominated me, so I wouldn't be here if he didn't nominate me. So. Coach called me in the fall, and he said, I'm going to put you up for the Hall of Fame. And I was floored. It had never, you know, really crossed my mind, but I was floored. I think of all the great players that he's coached, and the amount of wins that he had in Swampscott. I mean, it was all the success he's had. I mean, it's just a real tremendous honor, really. And so, thank you, Coach. I wasn't going to talk him out of it, but I remember going into junior high, and we were all going to junior high, and Coach DeFelice is he's the gym teacher, and he's the head baseball coach. So it's all right. I'm gonna get on his good side. Coach DeFelice doesn't really have a good side. I mean that in the nicest way. He never played favorites. That's my point. He didn't play favorites. He treated everybody the same. If you could play, you played. If you couldn't play, you weren't playing. But he pushed me, and he challenged me every day, from when I was a freshman through when I was a senior. We love talking about the story of when I got shelled in Winthrop as a senior, and we came back and won the game because we were really good. But the next day he said, "Nolan, you're starting." The next day I had thrown like 2 innings and given up 8 runs or whatever, and I think we talked about that when I was at your house, and he said, "Nolan, you're going the next day," and I said, "Good. Get this taste out of my mouth." And that's what he did. He pushed me, and he said, "Don't be afraid to fail." And physical mistakes happen. It's the mental mistakes that are sort of inexcusable. So, and then when I got out of Swampscott, I did a post-grad year, and it was the fall.
Couldn't get into Exeter?
Andover, yeah.
You couldn't get into Exeter. Right?
That was my safety. And I called Coach in the fall. I said, "Coach, I know Boston College had been interested, and I knew there was some interest there, so I called Coach. I said, hey, I know he went to obviously Coach went to BC. He knew the baseball coach. I said, do you mind just putting in a good word and take a few weeks. It doesn't need to be now. I just wanted to kind of get engaged in interest." I got a phone call back 10 minutes later from Coach DeFelice. Yep, talk to Mo, Coach Mo. They're interested. They'll be recruiting you. And that just meant the world to me. The ball got rolling. A couple weeks later, I signed scholarship papers with Boston College, and I'll never forget that. So thank you, Coach. Thank you very much. And I will be telling some more off-color Coach DeFelice stories at the bar later if anyone wants to join. My next thank you is to a dear, dear oldest friend of mine, and a guy that was in my corner for this for a long time, Jason Kalishman. For like 5 years, like, Nolan, I'm getting into the Hall of Fame. I'm like, dude, all right, cool. Like, I'm not gonna talk you out of it again. But he's one of the most loyal people I've ever met. He's been talking about this for a while. He's got some clout around town. It's kind of a big deal. So I said, all right, yeah, you run with it. But every time he said it, he meant it, and he was serious about it. And I really appreciate that. He was the varsity head coach for 6 years. I was his assistant. I had the privilege of sitting in the dugout with him. His passion for teaching and coaching is inspiring. He truly has the kids' best interests at heart while still holding them accountable, which I think we would all, who have sons and daughters, would want to play for someone like Coach Cal. So he's a terrific example for our young adults. And somehow he put up with Swampscott parents, which is amazing. Thank you, Cal. Last on the list is actually someone I want to thank who is, she's not here tonight. We lost my mother 9 years ago, and not a day goes by that I don't think about her and what she meant to me and the impact she had on my life. She did everything she could to make sure we had a stable and safe environment to grow up in. She was always there with a hug after a game, win or lose, even if I didn't want one. If I can be half the parent to my kids that she was to me and my brother, I think that I'll be doing okay. She was the toughest 5'1" woman I've ever known. And those of you in this room know that she was short. Watching her fight the last few years of her life has left a lasting impact on me. I wish dearly she could be here today, because you wouldn't be able to wipe the smile off her face for months. We miss her. We love her. She's the real reason that I am probably standing here in front of you today. Anyway. I made it through that. That's good. Thank you to my father, who couldn't be here tonight because he was smart and stayed on the West Coast. But another huge influence in my life. Thank you to my wife, Cheryl. She's an amazing partner on this journey of life with me and our kids. After watching tables 11 and 12, it's a good thing we left them at home. Good thing we got a babysitter. And my brother and his wife, my whole family, tables here, aunts, uncles, just the tremendous amount of support that I've received growing up has been amazing. And you've supported me forever, and I really appreciate that. And that's it. Thank you so much. Go Big Blue.
That was great.
I didn't even try.
Thank you, Brendon. Congratulations. Our next inductee is the late William Freiburg. And do you ever come across a character that you read about who was deceased and you say, I wish I met this person, I wish I knew this person? Just reading the brief little synopsis here of William Freiburg, this is someone I think we all would have loved to have met at one time in our lives. Dad played baseball for the Red Sox, Cubs, and Phillies. He was the first baseball player from Swampscott to be named All-Scholastic. That was in 1942. He went to Springfield and became a football player. But then the story changed from there. It was World War II. And he was a sergeant in the Army in the 10th Mountain Division in Italy. He was a ski trooper, skiing the most difficult mountainous terrains, surviving freezing temperatures. Received not one, but 2 Bronze Stars, once carrying a wounded comrade off the mountain and saving his life. Courage and strength were generously apportioned into his character. You know, and I'm guilty as anybody in the media throwing around the term hero. This is a true American and Big Blue hero, the late William Freiburg, class of 1942. Our next inductee is Greg Brand from the class of 1970. Greg can claim something that I think only one other person in the room, I think Peter Beatrice, can make that claim. Never played on a game, never lost a game in his entire varsity career playing for Swampscott. In those days, the high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, 27 games, 27 wins for Greg Brand. Also, with Jack Hughes and a lot of the people in this room, a member of the 1968 Class B state championship basketball team. Beat Braintree in overtime in the Garden. Also played on the track team. Played at Boston College for 4 years. was with the Houston Oilers, the Buffalo Bills, the Memphis Southmen, the Philadelphia Bell of the Old World Football League. More importantly, though, he was our neighbor on Andrew Road and another Abbott Park alum. Please welcome, class of 1970, Greg Brand.
Thank you, Michael. You take your notes?
Yeah.
Thank you to the committee. Thank you or congratulations to the prior inductees and the current inductees and the future inductees. I want to thank my immediate support team, Mike Lynch and Mike and Janet DePrisco, who allowed us to stay at their place the last couple nights, and Billy Goad and John Levine. My son Matthew is here. They're all here tonight. That's our table with his better half, Lauren Moshe, and Lawrence folks, Bob and G. Moshe, and my lovely wife, 38 years, Deborah. Thank you. I just want to tell a quick story about, we all heard about the great environment that we all grew up here in Swampscott, and we're fortunate enough to grow up in this area. But you know, my example was one of many because of all the connections that we've all made, and prior and future, and all around the globe, all around the world, all phases, heroes. Mine started, it was 52 years ago. It was 1967. It was our sophomore football season. You know, we were undefeated because we didn't lose those 27 games. That was the start of it. But our coaching staff, you know, Stan Bondalevich and Frank DeFelice and the great Dick Lynch, had a strategy. You know, they'd incorporate the younger guys because we're usually beating the snot out of the other team, and they would incorporate the young players in, you know, give them some game experience and get over that nervousness and all the stuff that goes with that. So I think we were in about the third quarter of a game at home. We were ahead by 30 points. I don't remember the name of the team. You can grant me that after 52 years. Anyway, I hear my name called out. I hear, okay, Greg Brand, get ready. So the next thing I know, I'm standing next to Coach DeFelice. He's got he got me by the arm. You can see him trembling. You know, I didn't expect to go into the game. You know, 145 pounds of strapping muscle. And Frank says, all right, next play, get in there for your brother Bobby, defensive end. I go, Coach, I never played defensive end. Well, he didn't run his 3 miles that day because I got the colorful language of, anyways, I trotted out in the field and got in the huddle, and I'm looking at all these guys, and they're all sweaty, and they're all muddy and bloody, and I'm white, like came out of GQ magazine. My uniform wasn't a spot on it. I didn't get anything dirt on it in warm-ups. I says, this is an issue, you know. Anyway, we, you know, lined up. They snapped the ball. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Part of Frank's little speech was just get out there and stand next to Willie Adams. You'll be fine. Okay. So they snap the ball. Willie proceeds to wipe out half their offensive line. I run in behind him, or next to him, into the back. I see a mud puddle. Oh, hey, this is an opportunity here. I dove into the mud puddle. I rolled around a little bit.
The next thing I know, Willie's smiling at me, and I'm getting patted on the back. I think their running back accidentally tripped on me when I was rolling around in the mud. So we fast forward from there. As Mike said, I was fortunate enough to play at Boston College, and I signed with the Houston Oilers. I had a few teams I could have selected, but Houston, I think, had won 2 games in the last 2 years, so I figured they needed the most help, along with me and every other guy in the country. It was the year of the first NFL players' strike. So I went to training camp out in Huntsville, Texas, during the month of July. It was only 109 degrees, so it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. Anyway, they settled the strike, right as the preseason started, and it's like 5 weeks after that. It was like the second week of August. Back then there was 6 preseason games, and I get informed that there was a blockbuster trade I was involved in, and I saw it in the transactions in the paper. It was for future considerations, whatever the hell that means. I don't know. But I was traded to the Buffalo Bills. Again, this is where things come around. I take the plane out to Buffalo and drive me up to the University of Niagara, where the training camp was, another garden spot. And I go into Jim Ringo's. Jim Ringo was the offensive line coach. And he says, we traded for you because, we want you to compete and, try to make the team. He says, but if you want to make the team, you got to beat out a guy named Willie Adams. Thanks a lot for all that. So I think the 3rd or 4th preseason game, it was either Green Bay or Kansas City again, I can't remember. But Willie's already out in the field, he's playing, and one of the other guards got poked in the eye or kicked or something, came off the field, and I hear my name, Brand, get over here. And it was Jim Ringo, had me by the arm. I go, Jesus, deja vu. And he says, listen, go out there, do your best. If you got any questions, ask Willie. So I go, okay, Coach. Okay, so I go out for the play. Well, I actually went out to the huddle. I go, Willie. Oh, no, I forgot one thing. He said, go out there, and if Simpson gets hurt, O.J. Simpson gets hurt, you're on a plane in the morning. So I go out, and I go to Willie. I go, wait, Willie, Ringo just told me if O.J. gets hurt, I'm on a plane tomorrow. What do I do? Willie says, just hold him. Just hold your guy. I go, Jesus, I haven't been in this league long enough to learn how to hold like these guys do. So anyway, the ball was snapped, and I says, my guy isn't tackling Simpson. I tackled the defensive tackle, and that was it. So he didn't get anywhere near the play. But that's just one small example of how all of us, I think, as we go through life, we find out that somehow, some way, it all comes back to this great little town of Swampscott High School. But I'm very honored, very humbled by this honor, and again, thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Greg Brand never played on a losing game in 3 years of high school. Congratulations, Greg. Our next inductee might be the most famous JV pitcher in the country. I was actually a JV pitcher once, and when I played, the varsity played at Phillips Park and the JV played at Jackson Park. And it may have been Lloyd Benson that came up to get me because there was a family emergency with the starting pitcher that day. It was supposed to be Billy Toner, and said, Frank needs you down at Phillips Park to pitch for the varsity. So I think I wet my pants on the ride from Jackson Park down to Phillips Park. I thought I pitched pretty well. We won the game 3-0, or 3-1 over Newburyport. And I said, wow, I think I've made it. Frank shakes my hand after the end. He goes, good job. You're back at Jackson Park with the JVs tomorrow. See you later. So our next inductee, you probably heard an awful lot about him pitching in the JV game, but he's done a lot more than that. He was a great quarterback at Swampscott High School. He was an integral part of that state championship baseball team. He is the authority on college football. He's with Steve Levy and Brian Greasy on their broadcasts every week. The draft is coming up, and if anybody here is a lawyer, went to law school, and they know how you're cramming for the bar exam, this is the time of the year where Todd McShea is cramming for the NFL draft. It's my real pleasure to welcome Todd McShea into the Swampscott High School Hall of Fame. He was on the cover of 01907 magazine, by the way, recently, and the title said Draft King, which I thought was a perfect title and very clever. Todd McShea, everybody.
All right, so you guys ruined it all. And I mean, come on, that was like the best speech of all time. Nolan, Kathy, love that woman so much. What? Get that phone down. And those glasses look so good on you. What, is that a new look? I really do appreciate the Hall of Fame, Swampscott, looking past all the ESPN stuff and really diving deep into the fact that I was easily, Raj will attest to this, easily the best DH4 first baseman in the history of Swampscott baseball. And Coach, where's Coach Steve Fleece? Hey, I had all these nice things to say about you. How I appreciated you later in life. How you were tough on me, grinded me. I still do, and I appreciate it. And I was one of I started that game. What was our record again, Kev?
We had a bunch of wins.
And yeah, one loss. So everything's been said. I love this town. I love the people here. I wouldn't be where I am or doing anything that I'm doing without all the people here. I can go around this room. I mean, I remember feeling like I grew up a little bit when I was thrown onto that baseball team, when Kevin was, and Hazy and some other guys, but like just learning from you guys, you know? And I wouldn't be the guy that I am without you. And the friends that I have, I mean, it's ridiculous. Tregs, I love you. I see you videotaping me right now, but I love you. Woody, you chirp at me all the time. You're absolutely crazy, but I love you. Kleiner, Knowles, I already told you. Klein, you're my best friend, by the way. Apparently that was written in a local. Cal, how do you feel about that? I say nothing. Nelly, thanks for toughening me up, man. And fattening me up, but thanks for toughening me up. And Cal, I love you, man. I love you. Thank you. I wouldn't be here today without you, and you know that. You're the reason I'm standing here, and I know that. The Beatrices. Peter, you taught me how to play quarterback. You know, step into the left throw, get your hips going, got it. Got it, Coach. Accentuate. Tommy, I needed you, man. I needed you. Like, I needed someone to come in and talk to me and work through it, and you were there for me on and off the field. So I appreciate that. Coach Bush, I appreciate you understanding me. You're the show me state, Missouri, but you also listened, and I appreciate you doing that. And you've always been there, and you've been able to talk to me. Dembo got me into college. It's kind of a big one. I appreciate that. I know that I don't go to University of Richmond without you. I know that. And the people I met there helped me get to where I am today. And so I'm, again, it just goes back to this town. It's amazing how the relationships here and the people that you know, it affects your whole life. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Nolan, you made me cry already. I'm not going to cry again. But Mom, I love you. Maybe I will. You were hard on me and I needed it, and I appreciate everything you've done. And thank you. Thank you. And I'm not going to go long because no one wants to be here for 4.5 hours. So that's it. But there are a couple other people I want to quickly go around this room, and it's just off the top of my head. The Caldarellis, awesome family friends, always, and I really appreciate you. And those deviled eggs, are you kidding me? I'll never forget. The Gerasi's, I mean, the passion, and I could hang out with you guys every night. I just love what you bring. I really appreciate it. And Unky, I know I tell you this all the time, my first baseball glove, and I laid on top of the mattress as you stuffed it on, you showed me how to like wrap it up in all the stuff, you know, and I slept on top of my mattress thinking about my baseball glove for months, getting ready for the baseball season, because you taught me that. And you also had, I think I love the East Boston guys, now that I think about it. You had the passion, and you would tell me the stories about how you love sports. And I think it drew me in, and I appreciate that. And the last thing I'm going to say is I think people like Artie O'Neill are special. And I'm new to this club, and I appreciate being new to this club. But I hope that I'm back here very soon to celebrate and recognize him, because I think he's one of the most special human beings I've ever been around, and the confidence that he breeds in people means everything to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Nice going, Todd. Todd McShea, everyone. Our next inductee is Carl Kessler, class of 1969. I got a few things to say, Carl, so take your time walking up. Carl was on a football team that at one point was ranked number 5 in the entire United States of America, and Carl Kessler was an integral part of that team as an offensive guard and as a defensive end. Carl has written more books than most of us have read. He has more letters after his name and all the schools he's gone to than there are in the alphabet. For forever, it seems he's been a professor and a dean at the Harvard Business School, and every time I run into someone, I said, "Did you ever have Carl Kessler?" He said, "You mean Dean Kessler, Professor Kessler?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "He was a great football player." They go, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, you know what his nickname was? It was Mad Dog." I go, "Why?" I said, he just, had these, when he get all fired up, he was Mad Dog. That was his nickname. I don't see it. I said, well, trust me, he was. Not only was one of the toughest people we've ever played with, one of the smartest we've ever played with, but one of the kindest we've ever played with. Please welcome to the Swampscott Hall of Fame, class of 69, Mad Dog, Carl Kessler.
Thank you, Mac. I really appreciate those words, and thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. It really is an honor to be here tonight. I'm going to go off script a little bit here. I actually have some prepared remarks, and I promise you they're going to be brief. But in exchange for that, I couldn't help, after hearing the introduction of Bill Freiburg, I couldn't help but want to say a few words about Bill too, because when I learned that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, at the same time I heard that Bill Freiburg was. And I was really pleased to hear that. It kind of doubles the honor for me, because Bill was one of my father's best friend. My father, Wally Kessler, his nickname being Cowboy, class of 1941 at Swampscott High School. But he was a good friend of Bill's. I got to know Bill a little bit as a kid because, my father, and of course by then he was married, they would go visit Bill, and I'd get to know him a little bit, and they just had amazing things to say about him.
And when my father passed away, I, got his photographs going way, way back. And in them, I've shown some of you this already. I'll be happy to show others of you. There's a picture of Bill Freiburg right here. And he's sort of sitting here in the snow on a rock. To all the world, he looks like a guy who just took a sort of a healthy hike up into the mountains and was taking a little bit of a breather, except for right next to him on that rock is his rifle. And on the back, it says, this is a note to my father. He sent this to my father. He's in northern Italy at this time in 1944. And he says, me, after 2.5 days, without food or sleep, and fighting in the mountains all this time, I would have tackled a grizzly for his hide. We're all with you, Bill Freiburg. That was, the kind of guy Bill Freiburg was. It was really the kind of guy that entire generation of Swampscott High School athletes and students and, people of all kinds. It was the kind of community Swampscott was way back then and still is today. But it really is it was very special for me to hear about Bill being put in here. If my father were alive and were not for the fact that my mother's gravely ill right now, they would be thrilled to be here and be, in a sense, Bill's extended family. So anyway, thank you all for indulging me in that moment. Anyway, let me just say this induction is really an unexpected honor, but one that I really do deeply appreciate and value. During the past 50 years since I graduated from high school, I've really been blessed with a great good fortune and a number of really happy developments. My marriage to my wife, Jane, my wonderful wife of almost 42 years, raising a family, and thank you all for being here with me this evening. And as if that weren't enough, I've been able to spend a lifelong career at a university that has really enabled me to, indulge myself in my intellectual interests and work with some truly outstanding colleagues and students. But through all these experiences, I find that when my mind has a chance to wander to where it wants to go, it repeatedly journeys back to my years at Swampscott High School, and in particular to my days playing football and competing on the track at Bloxage Field. And the reason for this is really quite simple. That passage in my life holds so much meaning for me, really real meaning. It has taken me, I think, most of my adult life to appreciate this, but almost everything that I've been able to accomplish, and indeed the very way I strive to lead my life, my ability to set goals and focus on them, to endure setbacks, and there have been a few, to be a team player, and to rise to standards that at first seem hard to attain, these are all rooted in just a handful of years that I spent in Swampscott High School. Paradoxically, I think, even though I am pleased and proud to be here tonight, I think the deepest sense that I'm feeling right now is that of humility. For the good and simple reason is that I know only too well the caliber of those Swampscott athletes with whom I've had the privilege to play, both in football and on the track team. It's really possible for me to be here today only because of the people that I played with and those who've coached me. Coach DeFelice, Charlie Kimball, who isn't here, but he was my track coach, Dick Lynch. Coach Lynch was never really my position coach, but Dick's mind, his character, his spirit was certainly a huge part of what set the tone for Swampscott athletics in the days that I was there. And of course, the indefatigable Stan Bondalevich. I have a tremendous debt of gratitude to all of them and to all my teammates, many of whom are here tonight. And I'm very pleased to have been able to have this little bit of a reunion with you. So thank you all very much. This really is a very great honor for me. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thanks.
Give you the plaque.
Okay.
The Mad Dog, ladies and gentlemen, Carl Kessler, class of '69. Which one do you have?
Carl Kessler, is that okay if I'm Carl Kessler?
Yes, you were not Robert Giron. I can attest to that. There's only one Robert Giron. And you know, that was pretty good. There's only 2 words we have to look up, right? In that speech right there, which is pretty good for a conversation with Carl. Usually we're scrambling for our dictionary or a thesaurus after we have a conversation with Carl. Congratulations. Our final inductee tonight is the indefatigable Robert Learon, class of 1967. Outstanding football player. Integral part of the basketball team in 1967, which went undefeated in Northeast Conference play, 14-0, went on to play in the Tech tourney. Was on the track team as well, went down and played football at Brown University, and most recently has authored a must-read book, Big Blue Days. If you don't have to order it, buy it, read it, save it, share it, it is one masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 67, Robert Learon.
Thank you, Michael. And thanks to all of the members of the Hall of Fame Committee for everything you've done to make this event possible. It's terrific. And congratulations to the other inductees. I'm thrilled to be included with you. I'm thrilled, and I feel very lucky. Lucky that I had a dad who was a gifted and passionate coach. As a result, some of my earliest memories are of watching and playing games like football, baseball, basketball. We were almost immersed in sports in our family. And lucky that I had an exceptional mother. She liked to tell us that the best gift was a good example. Nobody ever said a better one. But when more than an example was needed, she always had just the right words. For instance, I once made the mistake of foolishly bragging to her about something I'd done. And she just stared at me for a moment and then quietly said, "Well, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back." You do not forget a message like that. Lucky for siblings who all could have spent time patting themselves on the back, but they never did. Our older brother, Wayne, was a great role model, and we lost him far too soon, but his spirit has always been with us. And as for my brothers Dick and Michael, my sister Susan, they're terrific. I'm so happy they could be here tonight, along with Dick's daughter Casey and Mike's wife Kathy, my sister-in-law Joanne and her husband Jack. And lucky that our parents moved our family into Swampscott. And they did so in time for me to finish high school there and experience some special times in that special place. And so lucky to have had legendary coaches like Stan Bondalevich and Dick Lynch, like Frank DeFelice and Brad Sheridan, like Ronnie Cochran and Charlie Kimball, all of them Hall of Famers. And lucky for such great teammates. There are 3 of them here tonight. They've been mentioned before, but I need to recognize them. Their names are Mark Stevenson, Bill Adams, and Dick Learon. They were fantastic high school and college players, and 2 of them played multiple seasons in the NFL. But more importantly, they were wonderful teammates, tremendous leaders, and they are men of high character that I'm proud to call my friends, and in one case, my brother. And lucky that back in 1965, I met a Swampscott High School cheerleader and field hockey captain named Sally Watts. and that more than 53 years later, she's still with me, sitting at that table over there with our daughters and their husbands. And lucky for the two of us that we have them. Kathy and James Morocco, Lori and Casey Mohan, Caroline and Tim Sifkin, and their 6 children, our grandkids, all part of the Swampscott community. And lucky that Frank DeFelice did me the honor of nominating me for the Hall of Fame, and that the selection committee saw fit to add my name to a group that includes so many people that I admire. I would not be standing here now if I hadn't received so much help along the way, and I'm truly grateful. In 2015, Governor Baker spoke at the Swampscott High School graduation, telling the graduates that they had grown up in one of the greatest towns on earth and would forever be members of the Big Blue family. Well, how lucky am I? And in fact, how lucky are so many of us in this room tonight that we too will forever be members of the Big Blue family. Thank you.
Good job, Robert. Great speech. Robert Giron, class of 1967. Well, if you're new to the Swampscott family, after listening to those speeches tonight, I think you have a pretty good concept of what it meant to all of us to be part of Swampscott, part of the community. And we don't have to click our heels 3 times because we all know there's no place like home. That's our program for tonight. Drive safely. Congratulations to all the winners. We'll see you in 3 years.